Hello everyone, this is Ripper of Ripper Gaming, and today I'm going to be doing a mod that I've seen a lot of people already do, and I think it's a pretty cool mod, and that is putting a transparent back on my Steam Deck. So I've been kind of holding off on this because I thought about adding a hard drive, but I think I'm just going to go with the Steam Deck for now, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do about the hard drive later. I've already got the 512 gig with a 1 terabyte SD card, micro SD, so I'm not running out of space really, so I think it's okay. But I've been really wanting to try this. I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, so I remember all of the old school Game Boys, Nintendos, that type of thing that had the transparent cases, and I thought those were awesome. So I've got my Steam Deck here. I'll tell you what I'm going to use to do this process. So I've got a small cheap screwdriver from Amazon. I can throw a link into the description here, and I'm using one of the bits that came with it. It's actually a little bit bigger one than you might think you'd use, and it is called a JM CRV Plus 3. So if you end up getting this kit, that's the one to use, and it fits the screws perfectly. So I already have a vinyl sticker on here, and I love this sticker. It goes so great with the thumbsticks that I got from D-Brand as well, so I really like this. So I'm going to be removing the back, obviously, so I'm not going to get to keep this anymore, but in case I ever wanted to go back, I'm going to keep the back plate. So I'm not going to try and destroy the vinyl on it, but I am going to have to poke some holes in it. You might be able to see down here, I've already done that where two of the screw holes are. I'm not sure why these ones came already with the holes poked, but the ones in the middle did not. So you're just going to have to identify them if you already have a vinyl wrap on there and you don't want to completely take it off. So the other ones are up here. I'm just going to have to find those again because they should be up here near the top somewhere. So I'm going to take a look online too, just to make sure I'm not missing something here. But I do believe they're right at the top. Yeah, so they should be down here in this area. I think that's one right there. Okay, I see that one. And I see that one. Okay. So yeah, just kind of rub your thumbs there until you find the spot in the back. And I'm just going to poke a hole in there. I know this is not the best thing you want to do with your vinyl wrap, but in this case, since I'm replacing it, I don't mind doing it. So we're going to take out 8 screws. But before we get started there, we're going to go through what are supposed to be the safety procedures to ensure that you don't have issues. So that consists of a couple different things. First off, you're going to want to shut your deck down and go into battery, I think it's called battery saver mode or battery storage mode, sorry. So let's go ahead and jump in here and shut this down completely. Oh, last game I was playing there. Steam Deck not wanting to wake up too well on me here. Alright, there we go. We're going to go to power and do a full shutdown. Now, I know typically you don't do that, but in this case we're going to, since we're going to be taking the device apart, and we want to get into the BIOS to allow us to put it into battery storage mode. So once it shuts down here, we have to do 2 things. We have to hold the volume up button, and then we have to hit the power button, and then that should take us into the BIOS. And then I'll show you where to find the information there. So we're going to start by holding volume up. We're going to hit power and give it a second here. I think you can let go now, and yes, so you see you get a few options here. You got continue, boot manager, boot from file. Let me bring that up a little closer to the camera just in case you can't see it. And then we've got the setup utility. That's the one you want to go into. So once we get into setup, on the left side we've got main, advanced, security, and I think it's under power here. So if you look on the left side, you've got an option for power, and then you just go over to your first option for battery storage mode. We're going to hit enter on that. It's going to ask you, or basically tell you, the system will be powered down. If you select yes, do you want to proceed? So we're going to hit yes, and we're going to let it fully shut down. So we'll give it just a minute to do that. In the meantime, there's one other thing you'll want to check before you go and start taking it apart. So in here we've got our SD card. So you want to pull that out. It's not the easiest thing to get out, even with fingernails, so you might have to use something to help if you have trouble with it. But definitely take that out first. I've seen too many horror stories of people who leave it in, and when they take the back cover off, it snaps it. So that's our card. We're going to put that to the side for now. Now, if you have a case that handles the control sticks here so that they don't get bent around, then I would suggest using that. Otherwise, maybe some foam or something. You just don't want to have anything where you're pushing the screen or the thumbsticks down without proper support. So just try to have something, if you don't have the case, like a thicker piece of foam would probably work in that case. So we've got 8 screws to take out here, and we have varying lengths. So we're just going to kind of lay them out in the order in which we take them out. It's always good to do that, just to help you remember which way they came out and then which way they go in. So I'm just going to be using the top of the case here. You know, put it however you want, as long as you know the order to put them back in. So let's see, we've got the corner screws coming out fairly easily. Oh, there we go. And this transparent case also comes with new back buttons, so I'm kind of interested there. Gonna have to kind of look at them and see which one feels right for me. Obviously it varies for each person. So now these might be a little bit different because we're unscrewing the screws from within the vinyl, so I don't know how hard it'll be to get them out, because the vinyl wasn't cut exactly, but I can tell the screw is coming out. I just might have to get a fingernail under it to make sure I get it out. There we go. Alright, so those are the shorter ones. You've got the longer ones that are in the middle here, just side by side. And you can see that the ones on the edges are much longer, about double the length of the ones on the inside part. So I'm just going to kind of lay those out in that order as I take them out here. This is probably going to be the hardest part, to be honest, just because these are kind of held back by the vinyl, because it wasn't a perfect clean cut since I just kind of poked a hole with a screwdriver. So a little bit of struggle there, but we'll get through these easy enough. And we might clean up the hole we punched out in the process. Alright, there we go. So that one came out. Well, I threw it, but it did come out. And we've got these top 2. So put a little pressure there because you're kind of going through the vinyl. Of course, if you don't have vinyl, this is much simpler. I just know some people might already have vinyl on there, and so you can kind of see how I do it. Might not be the best way, but if you have some type of tool to cut a perfect hole in there, that would probably be great. I just don't have something like that. I could use a knife or something, but since I'm just kind of replacing the back anyway, I'm not worried about it too much. Okay, so now we have got everything taken apart. So we've got the Steam Deck put into the battery storage mode. We took out the SD card, and then at this point we've taken out all the screws. So we kept track of them, we're good here. So now we just need, usually you can use a different plastic piece. There's a lot of different things you can use. A lot of these kits you buy, like if you have an iFixit kit or just some cheap kit, a lot of times they'll come with something that you can use to wedge in there. So I can try to use this, or I could try to just use a small flathead here. What you want to make sure you don't do is, you know, obviously mess up your case. So if we look here, we're going to have to kind of get in here and wedge this apart. So I actually think I'm going to try and do it with a plastic piece just to be on the safe side. So let me grab one of those real quick. I have another kit. This is a similar kit that you know, to the one I already have. It's just a little bit more involved, and they've got some plastic pieces here that will probably help me do this easily. See, this one feels like it might be pretty good. Looking for something skinny that we can just get into the gaps here without really causing ourselves any problems. So you want to start right here. This is on your R2. So you want to start right in this crevice here. So I'm going to put it to the side. I think you can see what I'm doing and where I'm starting. I just want to put it to the side so I can make sure I'm getting in here correctly. Well, not as easy as you would think it would be. Honestly, I might be able to use my thumbnail. Or not. Okay, there we go. Just got to get it in there and start popping it loose. So you can kind of see it's a little loose there on the end now. Hopefully you can see that. Got the light kind of set up here. Might make it a little bit hard when it's this close up to the camera. Alright, there we go. So kind of working our way down. I'll put it at this angle. See how it's kind of snapped loose there? So just slowly work it down. I mean, you could probably use something like a credit card or something. Just make sure it's something that's plastic and not metal, because the metal can scratch up your case, and I don't think anybody really wants that. So I'm going to work on just slowly popping this loose around the edges, and once you kind of get that side there, it's pretty good. So we're going to remove the cover just slowly. I don't believe there are any cables here, so once you replace the hard drive you do have to disconnect the cable. But at this point you can see we've got our back case off, so that's good. That's got our buttons in it, and so we're going to take this and set it back down in the case just to hold it for right now. So at this point we're going to take a look at the contents of the transparent deck, back piece for the deck. So I'm going to open this up and kind of show you all the pieces. So once you get in here, you've got a box with some accessories. We've got this. I've already taken it out, but it, you know, it came in a nice little protective cover. So this should line up and kind of fit right on our deck there. And I can already tell that's going to look really, really nice. So this is going to be a cool mod. And I actually do use a case by D-Brand called the Kill Switch. So that case will cover up this. But honestly, I might rock it without the case for a little bit. But I have done a little bit of research. I know some people are concerned that this back plate right here is going to be a problem. But it makes better thermal transfer of the heat coming out of the deck. But otherwise, you still have your vents here, which are still open when you're using the Kill Switch case. So I've heard people have used it. It's not a problem. So I'm not going to worry about that. You know, I can check the thermals later if it really concerns me. And let's see, we should have our buttons in here. So we get to have a little fun and see what we think will fit us best. So what do we got here? Just put this on top. We've got left and right triggers here. We've got bigger variations of each of them. You can kind of see that, let's see, we take one of the smaller versus one of the larger variations. Let me get the light on this so you can see it better. So you can kind of see the thickness is much greater on the bigger one here. So that's kind of nice if you got big fingers and you want a bigger button there, and it sticks out more too. So I'm not sure if I want the one that sticks out, just because I don't want it to catch on anything when I'm moving it around. But I will probably want maybe a mid-size. It doesn't hurt to have a bigger one. So these here are really about the same size. These look as if they're just a single piece that pops off. These do not go on top of that. So you got individual ones versus just the standard ones. So let me compare the standard one to the ones that are already on the back of the Steam Deck here. So this is L4, L5, so that would be these two here. So these are probably gonna stick out even more than just the standard ones. I think they're gonna do pretty well. So I might actually just start with these and try them. I mean, it should be easy enough to switch them out if I decide to go with bigger ones later. So we'll go with these, and we're gonna take a look here. Looks like they will probably, well, it looks like we might have to take them off of there. So yeah, this may pop off. Of course, it doesn't look like it's meant to be broken apart. And you know, I don't look at a manual, of course. So let's see here, the individual ones. Let's see how they go in. Ooh, I do like the way those feel. Okay, so they go in from underneath. And there they go. So there's the standard ones that come with it, and they actually fit fairly flush. So if you prefer the feel of the original, you'll probably like these standard ones here. So I do want them to stick out a little bit, just not too crazy. So I'm gonna go for probably what would be considered maybe the mediums here. I think that'll be our best bet. I'm not seeing anything that screws these in. I think they kind of, well, there are screws here. Maybe I'm missing them in the kit, so we'll take a quick look and find them in the kit if we can. Okay, there we go. Our box did come with some stuff here, which is kind of nice. It actually came with a screwdriver, so you don't even have to use the one that I've got. This one could be sufficient. Look at that. See, this is what I get for not opening that first. So anyway, it looks like we've got several screws here. They got extra screws for the outside, so that's a big positive. If you lose one of those, then you can go with these. So I'm going to try and use the standard ones that came with it. And then you've got these, which are the smaller screws, which are meant to hold the thumb buttons in on the back. So we're going to pour those out. I'm not honestly sure what these are for, but right now we'll be focused on just getting these in. Let's see if this fits. If it doesn't fit this screwdriver, it should fit the one that came with it. Actually fits these perfectly. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take this and put our triggers on. So we've got our mid-size ones here. We've got our rights and our lefts. And we got L4, L5. Which should go in like that. That's kind of nice. If you can see it kind of sticking out some there. I like that. Just gives you a little bit more grip for it there. So that looks pretty good. And we just have to screw that in. And then we'll do the L5. So let's go ahead and put this down. I think I kind of know where these screws go. So I'm going to move this around a little bit. I know it kind of goes against the advice I gave you, but I'm going to move these screws over to this side so we can put the deck out of the way for right now and just give ourselves some room to work. Alright, so we'll close that up for now. Just slide that out of the way. So now we can go ahead and get these put in. So we've got our L4 and L5 right here. And they seem to kind of click into place fairly well right there. You know what? We will review this little screwdriver. Let's see if it's magnetic. It might be perfect if it's magnetic. And it looks like it is. So yeah, this is a nice add. It's got everything in the kit, so you don't have to go buy anything else. Not the easiest to screw in, but it's working. Alright, so we're going to screw those in. I generally don't like to over tighten, but I do appreciate the fact that they seem to have some brass risers here that are going to make it so if you do over tighten, it's not too big of an issue, but you could still crack the plastic from the thumb triggers. So, you know, I get them tight, but not go overboard. This one isn't bad, but it doesn't hold the screw as well as my other one. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these. These are little bitty screws, so having them stick onto it is paramount to me. So yeah, this isn't really a bad mod. I wasn't sure if it would be bad. I mean, it's a little bit more than I expected with putting the thumbsticks in. I thought they might snap in, but I mean, it's definitely doable for anyone that like if you don't like to take your computer apart, I get it, but I like to tinker with things, and I think anyone can easily do this as long as they have the right tools. And if you don't have the right tools, when you buy this kit, it looks like you get all the pieces you need. You use this to pop open the case, and use this if you don't have another screwdriver, and it works just fine. So alright, we've got these in. Let's kind of test here. So this is L4, L5. It's got some nice spring to it. I like these a lot, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'd like the bigger ones, but these are very nice. So we're going to go for the other two. Throw those on. And if you're watching this, I would appreciate if you want to send me a like and subscribe. Just working on building this channel. You know, I love playing games. I love kind of tinkering with anything. I've actually got the ROG Ally coming. Don't hate on me if you're a big Steam Deck fan. I am too. I actually try to get all gaming systems when they come out. I really don't have a favorite. I love my PlayStation 5, my Xbox Series X, my gaming PC, Switch, Steam Deck. So yeah, the ROG Ally will be a welcome addition. So, alright, there we go. So yeah, I'm going to have the Ally and I'm going to have the Steam Deck, and I think that they're both going to be awesome. I already know the Steam Deck's awesome. It's really changed the way I game. So I think if you want one, you should definitely get one, especially if you're on a budget and you want to get the smaller one. It's pretty easy to put in a hard drive, or to just get a bigger micro SD card. This one I got here was down to around $67, which is pretty crazy for a 1 terabyte. So you can still have a very nice budget gaming system with the Steam Deck. But of course, I can't wait to try out the Ally as well. Alright, so once we get this last one in, it looks like we need to remove this sheet here. This looks like it kind of works like a thermal pad for like a processor or memory. We're going to try these all out, make sure they feel good before we decide to do that. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to move these screws out of the way. I'm going to move everything out of my way, and we're going to pull the open Steam Deck back into the frame here. So it looks like this will go on like so, and right here is where this thermal pad is supposed to take some of that heat out of it. So there's a little plastic there. I just recently grew out my nails. I've never had them in my life, so it's nice to be able to try and do things like this with them. But if you don't have them, just use a pair of tweezers. There you go. So we've got that taken off. So at this point, this should really be able to just kind of pop into place here. Just like we took it off. We're going to see how well this lines up and see if we can reattach it. So we took it off from the left side, so I'm going to kind of start there. Make sure I'm lining everything up so it looks good. Yeah, so we're just kind of slowly going along, pinching it on the edges to make sure they all click into place. I've heard there are some fitment issues with this, so I'm kind of checking for that. So I see what they're talking about right here where the thermal pad is. Let's see if you can see that. Alright everyone, my camera shut off there due to the temperature, so I'm back and I actually had to take this apart. So I wanted to tell you why so that you don't make the same mistake that I did. So if you see, these thumbsticks look like they're similar, but there's a little bit difference that I missed, and I did it on both of the bottom ones. So let me see if I can get this up close here for you to get a good look. If you can see here, there's a little plastic inset, and on the top one I'm under it, and on this one I'm on top of it. So that actually caused a problem where the buttons wouldn't work. So make sure you put it in underneath it and then kind of snap it in with the screw holes, and it should work fine. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this last one in. I already took care of the other side, so we'll make sure that this works well. I did have a little bit of fitment issues, but we're going to try it again now that I have these mounted correctly. That could have been all on me. So I will say, just the initial impression, this case feels really nice. The buttons feel really nice. Like I said, I went with the medium ones as far as how far they stick out, and I like them a lot. So all right, we've got these in now. We should be okay. So we're going to go ahead and try this again. Make sure we line everything up well. So I'm going to start on the side here. Make sure our edges are smooth. You know, if they're not, then you're probably off. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you hear that? So we have a click there, so that's what we want. That was what I'd screwed up on the first go round. So I'm going to slowly go around here and just tighten this down. See if I can get it to pop in these places. And this one's sticking out. I have to push it down and then pop it in. So let's see. On the top here, it's a little gap, but I haven't screwed it in yet, so we're not going to judge that yet. I think that's where the thermal pad is, honestly. But the feel of this, the buttons on the back, all four feel good. They're clicking nicely. You can see they, I'll go from this side, it's got better light, but you can see they stick out slightly. So it's definitely a different. Okay, and of course my battery died. I'm just great at this YouTube thing. So anyway, when we left off, I was talking about the feel of these buttons. They do stick out, and I like that, as long as they're not too crazy. They all have a nice tactile feel, click to them. So I really do enjoy the feel of it. So that's nice. So at this point, I'm going to put the screws in and get this thing fully back together. Now, of course, if you don't like that feel, then these buttons are much shorter. They're probably similar to the original. Those are the ones that are kind of stuck together in the package. If you want a really big button that sticks out, they have a set of those too. But it's a pretty big gap. I'm just afraid it might get caught on something. But whatever you prefer, you should be able to do it. So we're going to go for the long screws first. We're going to try the Steam Deck ones and see if those work fine. Hopefully we don't have to use their specific ones. I don't think there should be a reason for that. Alright, remember, get them tight, but don't try and tighten them too hard because you don't want to strip these screws. It would not be easy to get out. The long ones go in the corners, remember that. So I've got them laid out on the side here. I moved them when we were trying to move the Steam Deck out of the way earlier. So overall, I'd rate this a pretty novice process. You know, like I said, I like taking things apart, but this isn't something that I would warn people not to do. If you don't mind doing it, then it shouldn't be a big deal. I know it can seem scary, but that's why you do the battery shutdown. That just helps you make sure there's no issues there, no discharge or anything. So I think this is really doable by anyone. And once we get these screws in, we're going to kind of see how that gap is. The gap that we saw at the top, like this screw right here should be tightening that down some to hopefully, yeah, I can actually feel the gap closing as I screw this in. So that's a plus. Now remember, I don't want to go too tight there. But yeah, that I think that's going to be fine. Screws are a little hard to get back in, honestly. That's just because they have some vinyl on them from where I poked holes in the other vinyl. So not a big deal though. We'll just remove that. And if you have a little power screwdriver, I mean, you could use it, but just to be safe, I would honestly avoid that. And my other screw fell in my shoe, of course. But we'll I got it out, it wasn't too bad. So let's get this one in, and then we're going to check fitment around the device. I think it's going to be fine now with the screws in. I'd heard some issues on this particular JSAUX, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, case with fitment. But there is a ever so slight gap right up top here. But it is honestly barely noticeable. Like, I don't think most people would notice it. I'm just picky. But the rest of it seems to fit very well. Everything else, yeah, it feels very, very good. So at this point, I'm going to put my memory card back in the correct way. Well, maybe I had it the wrong way. Okay, there we go. So let's boot this up. Should be no issue here, and just make sure everything is good. So I've got my Portal look in the front. I got my old school N64 Game Boy transparent purple on the back. I was really going between green and purple, but this purple was just too pretty. So that's what I went for. But let's see, Steam Deck should start up here. I might have to hold it down, to be honest, because I haven't booted it since I went into the power mode, the battery power down mode. Alright, we are back, and this was just a dummy move on my part, but in your power save mode, you have to plug in to the charger. So we're going to plug that in and then give her a start up here. Now I was charging my camera with the same cable, so as soon as I verify it starts here, I'm going to go ahead and plug right back into the camera. So you might see it wiggle here. Okay, so nothing wrong. So here I am thinking, I'm telling you this is an easy upgrade and I've done something to cause a problem to it. But no, it's just a safety feature of having to plug it back in to make sure, you know, that you're actually ready to start it up and you won't accidentally start it by hitting the power button while you have it open and working on it. So honestly, a smart thing. So it's doing an update. I'm on the preview build, so it does updates often when I restart. So we'll give it a sec here, but it looks like everything should be good to go. It's beautiful. I love the look of it. Honestly, all the colors look great, but I particularly love this purple. I love the change in the buttons, but if you don't, you can just stick with the smaller low profile ones. But there you go. Looks like we're good to go. Everything is working fine. And I didn't really test thermals before, but I hear thermals are better with this plate, but this plate can get quite warm. So you just might want to watch out and not touch it too much. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you like this type of content, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. Give me some comments. and I'll keep making content like this, as well as games on the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally once I get a hold of it. So thanks everybody, and y'all have a great night. Bye.